Richard Hannay is living in London, England. He yearns for a more interesting life. What's extras? Bookmarks? The wrong ditch. $1914. That's a while. Oops. I returned from the city on that May afternoon, pretty well disgusted with life. I had been 3 months in the old country and was fed up with it.
Richard Hannay, you have got into the wrong ditch, my friend, and you had better climb out.
A lot of imperialist ladies asked me to tea to meet schoolmasters from New Zealand and editors from Vancouver. That was the most dismal business of all. I had no real pal to go about with, which probably explains things. Plenty of people invited me to their houses, but they didn't seem much interested in me. I had counted on stopping in London for the rest of my days, but from the first I was disappointed with it. I was the best bored man in England. My final years in Africa were in the municipality of Bulawayo, where I had fought during the Matabele War. I resided once again with my father, who had taken ill. After he died, I decided to leave the Cape and head back to the old country. Served the British forces during the Matabele conflict and was decorated for my role. I served 2 years with the Imperial Light Horse and was an intelligence officer at Delagoa Bay in the Second Boer War. I lost many friends during those wars. I had earned my pile, not one of the big ones, but good enough for me. I had put in 3 years prospecting for copper in German Damaraland and spoke the German tongue pretty fluently. I went on to become a mining engineer in Kimberley, where I was instrumental to the formation of De Beers Consolidated Mines. The diamond mines were a rough business. Countless good men lost in horrific accidents. As a teenager then, I spent much of my time by the Zambezi where I would fish. There are several hundred species in these waters, including the infamous tigerfish and Zambezi shark. The wide open spaces of the Veld also interested me greatly, and the various methods of survival in such an uncompromising landscape. Child, My father had brought me out from Scotland to South Africa at the age of 6, and I had never been home since. Grew up in a Cape colony, which was then under British rule. Here was I, 37 years old, sound in wind and limb, with enough money to have a good time yawning my head off all day. I had a long drink and read the evening papers. They were full of the row in the Near East, and there was an article about Karolides, the Greek premier. Huh? Talking about the Greek here, huh? From all accounts, he seemed to seen the one big man in the show, and he played a straight game too, which is more than could be said for most of them. Someone had loaded a cylinder player. I felt a deep nostalgia from my homeland of Scotland as Annie Laurie filled the room. I can't do anything about this. Nope. Presented to Richard Henney, Intelligence Office, Matabele Ward, 1897, soldier of the British Empire. Karolides keeps strong, a keen ally of Britain. Greek Premier Constantine Karolides lies at the heart of the power politics of the region. Hated in London and hated in Berlin and Vienna, Foreign Office has long regarded him as the only strong head in a notoriously unpredictable region. But in Greece, Karolides is at the odds with King Nicolaides about Greek policy toward Ottomans' remaining possessions in Thrace and in areas of western Anatolia with Greek populations. Though the Greek constitution gives the king no executive powers, Nicolaides has repeatedly expressed a need for renewed military action against the Turks. Karolides is hostile to military options and remains outwardly committed to the resolution of Greek Ottoman tensions. The Porte has recently reiterated his commitment to defend its remaining Aegean holdings at all costs. Karolides' famously strong nerve may yet be tested again. Did you read about that in your history lessons in school, Gloria? Balkan East, then uprising peasants revolt. He sees, he reasons, he buys. They are not friends like the old friends. Conklin Palmer, Singer, Ginger Nuts. I have no idea. Empire celebrations ahoy! Rain won't stop the show. Top of the world, Harris Tweed. Won't remain weak. Anemic, nervy rundown. Loa warns of German menace. British Navy must grow. Colonial Club fireplace. map with his travels. Travel paths, I guess. Empire at Home and Abroad. Book 1. Great Britain and Ireland before the 19th century. Newspapers. There's a lot of advertisement here, it seems like. A lot of advertisement. Fashions of men. Big flying races. The British and German programs. News of the Navy. The joy of good clothes. It's 6 o'clock, I went home. The flat was the first floor in a new block behind Langham Place. Okay, before we enter, I'm gonna get some more coffee. Be right back. Horses everywhere. There's no restaurant or anything of that sort. And each flat was quite shut off from the others. Dear Richard, how is London? I do hope Paddock is looking after you well, and that your luck on the horses is lasting out. 10 to 1 it is. Now here's a tale for you. Hello, Ali. How you doing? Last month in Kalahari, I found myself in a tight spot. After 2 days on the plane, I lost my way and could not find the river. I was forced to go without water for 3 days and 5 without a morsel of food save for a few opaque worms. An excellent source of protein, which steered me away from starvation. Worms, huh? Because on the way down. Then I ran into an old chief to whom I owed money. Because of my debt, he refused to help me, so I had to continue on my feet. The desert is not kind to any man. But I made it out, and a man in Tanganyika sold me a Rhodesian Ridgeback, which will be my partner in my future hunts. I have named the animal Shaka after the old Zulu chief and will take him to the Congo with me where I go for the elephants. Plan to leave next week if I can get my new rifle finished in time. Yours, Peter Pienaar. Yep. Okay. Good. Anything else? Open. Draw the symbols as they appear.
Paddock? That's me home. I'll be heading out for dinner.
I hate servants on the premises, so I had a fellow to look after me who came in by the day. He arrived before 8 o'clock every morning and he used to depart at 7, for I never dined at home. That evening I dined at the Café Royal and then headed elsewhere for entertainment. An evening's entertainment. Leicester Square. On this particular evening, I wandered to Leicester Square, where the more resplendent theatre of varieties could be found. A show at the Alhambra caught my eye, but one could never be quite sure of the act until it had been seen. Music halls. The countless music halls of London were one way of passing the evening away. Farces of all styles played a conspicuous part in this week's bill. It was a silly show. It did not stay long. the way home, I gave half a crown to a beggar because I saw him yawn. He was a fellow sufferer. I made a vow. I would give the old country another day to fit me into something. If nothing happened, I would take the next boat for the Cape. Achievement unlocked, the wrong ditch. Yay! First part done. Yay us.